Bada. What's up, everybody? I am SystemCheck66. Welcome to the channel, and we've got some news regarding the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. So we're going to get straight into it. This is me reading from Push Square. Konami's Metal Gear Solid 3 remake reportedly out next year. So 2024. The rumoured remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is a 2024 game according to VGC's Andy Robinson. Now, Andy Robinson obviously writes for VGC. He's got a lot on the line if he gets this wrong, or if he's just stringing people along. So I doubt this is bullshit. Today, the editor tweeted out that alongside the remake, re-releases or remasters of other Metal Gear Solid titles are also still on the table. And the last time Robinson heard anything about Konami's plans, it was said the E3 window is when the publisher plans to make these projects public. So we've got a lot to look forward to come this E3. 2024 might be that year that propels next gen in terms of games that are coming out. We've had Resident Evil 4 remake this year. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to play it because they lost my copy, although I did get my PlayStation 5, so I'm very, very happy with that. But yeah, we've had the RE4 remake, we're getting Street Fighter 6, we're getting Tekken 8, and a bunch of other games, hopefully Spider-Man 2, there's a big list, but I think next year is just going to be a bombardment of AAA titles and stuff, and games that, we are sort of salivating for. Anyway, so yeah, Andy Robinson, he tweeted, he said, MGS3 Remake is now a 2024 title, and there's still talk of MGS re-releases of some kind. E3 window was their marketing plan, last I heard. So, it's interesting. Kojima is no longer attached to Metal Gear, but on Push Square they do say whether Konami has been in contact with Hideo Kojima about these reported remakes and remasters remains to be seen. So yes, that's interesting. Like, are they going to get his sort of consent, his feedback? They're going to have him come on and just be a advisor, a consultant, to possible remakes. I pray they do, because I think that they need him there just to sort of, give them ideas and stuff and spearhead it a little bit in the right direction. My thoughts on Metal Gear Solid 3 being remade. It makes sense. As much as I want Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake to be remade, that would be incredible, it would be amazing. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is the easy option, definitely, even compared to the original Metal Gear, because that's aged now. So, I don't know how they would remake that. Would they remake it the same way they remade Resident Evil 2 Remake, and most remakes these days, over the shoulder, third person? Or would they kind of do just a remaster, just a new coat of paint, same game, same way it plays, just a bit updated, like Shadow of Colossus, the remaster of Shadow of Colossus. I think they could do something like that, but still retain the same game. Sort of what they were going to do with Fear Effect, but they switched that up and made it look crap. But yeah, that's something they could do if they just wanted to take the easy route. If they do want to really remake the first Metal Gear, then that would sell loads. As much as I don't mind the Silicon Knights remake, I think getting a proper remake from Konami with Kojima on board again, like they did with Shinji Mikami and the Resident Evil remake, stuff like that, I think that would be incredible. I think that would be incredible, and people would buy that shit. They would buy that straight away. I would. I know I would. But going back to Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, we'll talk about the remasters of these other great games in a little bit. It makes more sense. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater was almost open world. Almost. It was still linear, but it was almost open world. You had these big, huge environments, these huge areas compared to the last two games, should I say. And it just allowed you to be even more creative and just mess with the world, the environment, enemy soldiers, a lot more. There's loads of gun emplacements, stuff like that, buildings you could go in, secrets you could find. It was a lot more open world. And it showed through because Kojima was obsessed at that time with Vice City. And there was even a trailer for Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater where a soldier says to Snake, "Go eat snakes, this is no Vice City." So he was obsessed with GTA at that time, and especially like Vice City, the 80s callbacks, the 80s culture of that game. Kojima's a huge 80s fan. If you don't know, then go and listen to the soundtrack and play Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. It oozes 80s action films and and 80s music. It's got those 80s style music in it. So he was enamoured with that game at the time, and he wanted to make his own open world game. It's not till Phantom Pain that he actually achieved that, and it was a great achievement, I've got to admit. like I said, after years and years, it's grown on me. It's actually a pretty good game. Still 7 out of 10 Metal Gear Solid game, because the story's crap, it's not that great. But in terms of just a game, like in gameplay and game mechanics, a total package, just the game as a total package, I love it. I've played it a total of 3 times from the very beginning. I've just gone back to the very beginning, restarted, played through it again and again. It has something about it that brings me back to it. And I think that's to do with the aesthetic, the look, the style, the music, everything. All that stuff is great. And some of the story's okay. I like the characters in it, you know, so there's some plus points. But he achieved that goal, but it was years and years after GTA had already achieved it, and Red Dead Redemption. So at the time, he wanted to make his own GTA style game. He was influenced by that, and so it kind of showed in Metal Gear, you know, Snake Eater. So why is it an easy option to go for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater? Well, Konami can pretty much use the template for Phantom Pain, sort of transfer that over to Snake Eater, make the areas a lot bigger, just like Resident Evil 4's kind of done. The remake of Resident Evil 4's kind of done. And they can create something that's just a lot larger and just more open world with very minimal load times on this current gen hardware. And I mean, can you imagine like a Phantom Pain type experience, but with a game and a story that people already love and fell in love with minimal load times, so no more like 2-minute chopper like loading screens or however long it took. It's a bit overboard, but it was like, what, it was like 60 seconds to a minute, wasn't it, or something like that. So yeah, we won't have any more of that, and I think that could work like really well. So Snake Eater is the easy decision. It's the easy option to go for, definitely. And I think it just makes sense, you know. And the fact that Snake Eater, while not being my favourite in the series, is still a good entry in the series. The fact that so many people class it as one of the best entries in the series, their favourite entry in the series, they're gonna make a lot of money, definitely. When it comes to the remasters of Metal Gear Solid and, you know, what they might release, I read somewhere that they'd already released a HD collection, which was MGS2, 3, and Peace Walker. That's the first time I actually got to play Peace Walker, and I actually like the console version a lot more over the, obviously, PSP version, because PSP version plays like shit, as you can imagine. So yeah, the console version was my first exposure to that game, and it quickly became my favourite Metal Gear. Yes, that's right, I said it. It's my favourite Metal Gear in the series. Maybe one day I'll make a video on why I love that game so much and why it's my favourite in the series. But yeah, someone said in this article that we'd already had the HD sort of remasters of those games, and now we might get another like HD remaster collection of Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear 4, you know, and I'm trying to think which is the other one. I don't know, but there'll be another one, and then they'd release like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater as a full remake. So yeah, like having Metal Gear Solid just with a new coat of paint on it, they're going to have to really remaster that game though. They're going to have to proper, like, you know, it could still be the same game, but they're going to have to really, you know, throw a new lick of paint on it. Metal Gear Solid 4 won't need the same type of treatment, but it will just have to have better graphics, you know, more updated graphics, so it still looks good by today's standards, I will say that. But in the article it says they're going to be remasters, not full remakes, which makes me think that they're remastering those games but fully remaking Metal Gear Solid 3. So that is interesting. I would like a remake, a full-blown remake of Metal Gear Solid. Like I said previously, the Silicon Knights remake just didn't hit that level, and I think we need a proper remake of that game, so we'll have to see. But having a remaster just with classic sort of camera angles and the old school gameplay could work, just refined a little bit like they did with Shadow Colossus. It could work, it definitely could work. It'd be an easy thing to produce, you know. They could just obviously slap some, and like I said, a nice new coat of paint on it, make the graphics look like current gen, and we could have a game that's like retro, but you know, just looks 100%, like looks the dog's bollocks, as we say in England. Now, else that's interesting, reading from twistedvoxel.com, is Dusk Golem said that the Metal Gear Solid games will be getting the remastered treatment from Konami. They claimed that MGS 1, 2 and 3 remasters are planned for release on all platforms. Now I think the Snake Eater is going to be a remake, but you know, anyway, we'll continue, including Steam and consoles, according to him. Konami plans on releasing the new remaster versions of Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and then 3 will be sold separately. But if the trilogy is bought as a collection, buyers will get extra goodies in the form of MSX versions of Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. And then they go on to say, you know, what Metal Gear Solid is, etc., etc., for people that don't know about the series. That's interesting. So someone else did say, like, Metal Gear Solid 1, you know, 2 and 4 or something like that, or Metal Gear 1 and 4, because they'd already released HD versions of 2, 3, and Peace Walker, but Dusk Golem seems to think that they would release Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 remasters, then 3 would be, I think, me personally, it's going to be a remake. It seems like it's going to be a remake, so they're concentrating all their efforts on 3 as a remade version of Snake Eater, and then Metal Gear 1 and 2 are going to be like remasters. So that's very interesting, and then if you buy all 3, you would get, you know, these extra sort of like little goodies. Although you can play the MSX versions, I believe, of Metal Gear 1 and 2, Metal Gear Solid Snake, if you play the HD collection or the Legacy collection, which is what I own. That's what any true Metal Gear fan should own, although it is very pricey at the moment. So, you know, I don't know if you should draw. I don't know how much it's gone up to, but last time I checked, it was you know, it was fairly expensive. I don't think it was retailing for £40 anymore. But anyway, yeah, so you can still play those on the HD collection or the Legacy collection, you know, or even the special version of Metal Gear Solid 3 that released on the PS2, I believe, but that's worth like at least 200-300 quid last time I checked. I could be off, you know, and it could be cheaper and have gone down, but yeah. So interesting. I tend to lean more towards the last article that we just read, you know, not this Twisted Voxel one. I know they're just reiterating what Dusk Golem has said and stuff like that, but I don't know, there's something a bit fishy about that. Like, they're going to remaster Metal Gear 1 and 2 and then have Metal Gear Solid 3 as a complete remake. I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me, but maybe they could be doing that, who knows. Just getting more Metal Gear is what it's about at the end of the day, isn't it? And we know that nothing's going to get ruined, really, you know, like, if we're being honest, because if you're remastering Metal Gear 1 and 2, you're just going to keep those exactly the same but update the graphics. And when you're remaking Metal Gear Solid 3, you're going to know that you can't mess with it too much, just like the Resident Evil 4 remake has done. And also the Silent Hill 2 remake. It just looks like they've updated the, you know, the gameplay. So on top of all that Metal Gear Solid goodness, we also have a new Castlevania game coming out soon. And being a huge fan of Symphony of the Night, it's a game I've recently played. I hadn't played it previously when I was younger. I got to play it via ROM. It's so expensive getting a physical copy of that game. It's up to about 500-600 quid. So yeah, the best way to play it was via ROM. I didn't want to buy it off the Android store either. I don't buy Android games anymore. You know, so yeah, it was incredible, an incredible experience. But every other Castlevania hasn't ever really hit it for me. So, you know, we'll have to see with this new Castlevania. But for all you Castlevania nut jobs out there, this one's for you, definitely. So, that's all the news I've got regarding the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake. E3 is coming up soon, and hopefully we'll get to see a trailer or, you know, some sort of gameplay or something from it, and actually have Konami confirm all of this, and actually we'll get some confirmation this is actually real. At the moment, we're just going by the words of the guy from VGC and, you know, and these other articles. So we'll get to see if it's real come E3, and if it is coming out 2024, then Konami will announce it, definitely. Or if they don't, state of play. But I'm thinking E3, 100%. So very, very exciting times for Metal Gear Solid fans. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you a huge Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater fan? Do you like Peace Walker like me? Like, are you more of a fan of Peace Walker? You know, and just, are you a fan of the series in general, or do you hate the series for whatever reason? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. And until next time, I'm SystemCheck66, and I'm signing out of it. Peace.